So I've done two of these videos in the past, one discussing Phase 1 and the other discussing Phase 2. I made those videos after watching and reviewing all of the films in each of the respective phases, because I just kind of wanted to get a better picture for myself and also share with you guys what my overall thoughts on each phase were. And so I just finished reviewing Spider-Man Far From Home. And naturally my next thought was, okay, we should do a Phase 3 recap video, or a recap and review video. But then I got to thinking, I feel like I've been doing this series wrong the whole time. Now granted, I understand these aren't the most grandiose videos, they're just little 5 to 10 minute short recap videos and just overall summarizing my thoughts on each phase. But I feel like I could be getting a little bit deeper with these videos, if that makes any sense. So I want to do this video a little bit differently, and you can tell by the title that this video is going to be a little bit different. Instead of just summarizing my thoughts on this entire phase, which you can just figure out by watching all the reviews, I wanted to talk about something a little more important in my opinion. Rather than summarizing, I wanted to go a little deeper and talk about what I think is the unifying theme or message of Phase 3. Now if you guys like this video, I will be sure to do a Phase 1 and a Phase 2 video as well, just talking about the themes and the unifying message of all of the films in their respective phases. So please let me know in the comments down below. I know it's a little backwards, but I just finished watching Phase 3, and so I thought I'd do Phase 3 first instead of just starting over with Phase 1. But yeah, just let me know in the comments down below. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and let's talk about Phase 3. So in brainstorming for this video and thinking about what the general outline of my script would be, I got to thinking, what is the thing that all of the movies have in common? Phase 1 and Phase 2 are fairly obvious, and I won't tell you guys what I think they are just yet because I might be making videos on them, but in my opinion, they are pretty clear to me, and I don't think they are quite as impactful or meaningful as Phase 3. Still, though, there are profound messages and meanings that you can glimmer from those 12 movies. Phase 3 is a little different, because there are not only more movies, but more characters and more story arcs to be dealing with within the next 11 movies. And I thought, well, there's no possible way that all 11 movies in Phase 3 have some sort of unifying factor. And I thought about it hard, and I realized they actually did. Phase 3, starting with Captain America Civil War and ending with Spider-Man Far From Home, is a microcosm of the MCU that deals with loss. Now this was surprising to me because once I started looking at this, I realized just how many MCU movies in this phase followed this sort of pattern. Maybe not all of them do, but this is just a sort of overarching theme, so maybe a couple movies here and there don't really follow that pattern, but let me discuss each movie individually and explain how they fit this overarching message. Captain America Civil War deals with the loss of friendship. This idea that you could have this group of people, the Avengers, these group of heroes that not only were friends but almost family, that they relied on each other, suddenly fractured apart. And suddenly these relationships that have been built over the past 12 movies were fractured. And these friends that you thought would last throughout the entirety of the MCU, they were broken. This film deals with that loss. Doctor Strange deals with a personal loss. Something that is meaningful to him, his hands, and he believes that is the key to the rest of his life, the key to his happiness, and he loses them and has to go on a journey of self-discovery. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 deals with the loss of family. Peter Quill had to sort of go through the same sort of thing in Guardians of the Galaxy 1, but in Volume 2 it really comes to a head when he realizes that his biological family may not be the one that is meant for him. The loss of a life he could have had with a biological father and mother who could have loved him and cared for him. I'll admit right now, Spider-Man Homecoming doesn't really quite deal with this as well as the other films. It doesn't quite relate to the theme of loss, maybe as well as the other MCU films in Phase 3 do, but maybe we can extrapolate a little bit here. I feel like Spider-Man Homecoming, if you really think about it, and again, I know this could be a little bit of a stretch, is a story about the loss of innocence, the loss of youth. This is a story about Peter Parker finally growing up and learning his responsibilities in the world. Finally learning to not be the kid he once was, but to be an adult in a bigger world. Is it a stretch? Maybe, but I think it fits. Thor Ragnarok is pretty obviously a story about the loss of your home. What happens when the place that you were raised in, the place you grew up in, the place that you called home is suddenly taken away from you? Is that the end? Is that really where your home is? Black Panther is also the story of the loss of family, the loss of a father. T'Challa is dealing with throughout the entire movie how to become a better king than his father, or as good of a king as King T'Chaka was, and he comes to the realization that he doesn't have to be, because T'Chaka made mistakes as well, and he has to learn to outlive them and outgrow them in his own way. Avengers Infinity War is probably the most obvious one. It's the movie that got me thinking about this whole idea in the first place. It's the loss of everything. It's when you lose everything that you've been fighting for, and you're just suddenly back to square one with no idea of how to get back. Now, Ant-Man and the Wasp, I think, is no longer about the story of loss. I think now when we get to Ant-Man and the Wasp, we start to begin to deal with the themes of not just loss, but how to deal with it. Because I do believe that Ant-Man and the Wasp is a smaller story about the loss of a parent, but also how to get over it. What are you going to do with the power given to you? I know not all of us have a quantum realm readily available to us, and we can't just grab our parents back out of the void that they disappeared in. But Ant-Man and the Wasp deals with this idea of being able to move on in the way that you can. Captain Marvel deals with the loss of memories. The idea that you came from somewhere, but maybe you want to forget. Or maybe you just don't want to go back there again. But eventually you're going to be forced to head back there in some kind of way and face your past. And maybe it'll reveal good things and maybe it won't. But your past and your future are very much linked. And your memories are what keep you human. And Avengers Endgame is the culmination of this idea. It's no longer about loss, but how we get over it. Because see, simply having Phase 3 be about only loss, that feels hollow, empty. But Phase 3 isn't just about loss itself, it's about how we deal with it. What we can do to get over it and make things right. As Tony says, you can just move on. You don't have to do anything. You can just lock everything in a box and drop it at the bottom of the ocean and never go back to it again. But would we be able to rest? Would we finally be able to put everything aside and go back to the way that we thought things were? Or do we do something about it, in whatever way that means? Again, we don't have a quantum realm readily available to us, but we have other methods too of getting over loss, and Avengers Endgame is the culmination of this idea that there is always a way to deal with things you've lost. And Spider-Man Far From Home, again, deals with the same theme in the loss of a mentor. Losing Tony Stark to Peter Parker and how that allows him to really, really mature and grow into his own character. See, in a way, Avengers Endgame really does poignantly tie everything together. Steve Rogers even says right before they enter the quantum realm, we lost. 5 years ago, we lost. But we have a chance to take things back, to make things right, whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. And I believe that throughout all of the spectacle, throughout all of the action, throughout all of the visual effects, through the characters, the stories, that Marvel Phase 3 was just trying to tell us that loss is going to happen and it's going to be okay. But what really matters is how you deal with it. Because if the Avengers were to just sit there, then the world would never have been the same again. So those were my ramblings about Phase 3 and just probably diving a lot deeper than I probably should have. But still, it was fun for me to think about these ideas. Again, I do have ideas for Phase 1 and Phase 2. And so if you guys want to see those videos, then please leave a comment down below in the description. In the meantime, what do you guys think of this idea of loss and recovery? Do you guys think that this is really what Phase 3 was talking about? Or maybe you just think it's something completely different? Or maybe you just think that there's no theme at all? Let me know in the comments down below. And make sure to subscribe and give this video a like to support the channel. If you want to check out some more videos, then check out the videos on the screen right now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.